When all else fails, there remains a hidden key, a single act, simple yet powerful, that compels the universe to align with your every desire. What seems impossible bends in silence as destiny obeys the one who discovers this secret. Sacred Introduction. If this audiobook has found you, it is not by chance. You have been led here by a secret thread, invisible to the eyes, yet undeniable to the heart. Perhaps you arrived weary, carrying the silence of unanswered prayers, or the weight of a longing that the world has not yet fulfilled. Perhaps you feel you have done everything, and still the universe remains unmoved. And yet, despite the silence, despite the delay, despite the apparent absence of response, you are still here, listening. That persistence is no accident. It is the call of your soul, refusing to give up its flame. There are moments when life feels like a temple with locked gates, when every knock echoes back as emptiness. You wonder if the heavens have forgotten you, if the stars have turned their gaze elsewhere. But listen closely. The silence itself is not rejection, but initiation. The void you fear is not absence, but preparation. In the language of the soul, silence is the greatest response of all, for it asks of you something deeper than words. It asks for presence. You are not alone in this threshold. Across centuries, seekers have stood where you stand, facing deserts of uncertainty, nights without stars, and altars that seemed abandoned. The mystics called it the dark night of the soul. The alchemists called it the black stage, the negredo, when all dissolves so that gold may be born. Psychologists call it the confrontation with the shadow, when illusions collapse and the unconscious rises with its hidden truths. Whatever name you give it, the experience is the same. The old world crumbles, and in its place, something greater begins to stir. When all else fails, it is not because you are cursed or abandoned. It is because the old ways of asking, the old ways of desiring, the old ways of believing have reached their limit. The universe, vast and silent, is sculpting you to discover the one hidden key that opens every gate. That key is already within you, not in your words alone, but in the vibration beneath them, not in your repeated demands, but in the resonance of your flame. And when you find it, every wish you utter from that flame will no longer be a request. It will be law. As you journey through these chapters, you will walk a sacred path, first through the valley of existential pain, then into the teaching of alignment, then into the revelation of the invisible flame, until at last you stand before the throne of the I Am, where the universe bends to your decree. This is not an easy path, but it is a true one. Each story, each teaching, each ritual will open a portal within you. You will not merely understand. You will feel. You will practice. You will embody. So let this be clear. You are not a beggar at the doors of destiny. You are the bearer of the flame. And this audiobook is the mirror that reminds you of what you have always carried. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You will never be alone. The silence has been the preparation. The void has been the womb, and now the portal opens. In the first chapter, you will step into the moment of greatest trial, the moment when nothing responds. And there you will see that the silence you feared was not your enemy, but your oldest ally. Chapter 1. The moment when nothing responds. There comes a time in every seeker's journey when the voice of heaven grows quiet, when prayers dissolve into air without echo, when each attempt to rise feels as though it is met with a wall of silence. You know this place. You have walked with hope in your hands, only to watch it slip like sand between your fingers. You have looked to the sky for a sign, but the sky remained veiled. You have waited at the gates of the invisible, but the gates did not open. It feels like abandonment, yet it is not abandonment. It feels like rejection, yet it is not rejection. This silence is the threshold of something far greater than your mind can yet imagine. In this silence, an archetypal figure walks with you, the wanderer who has left all behind and finds himself in a barren desert. He shouts, but the winds consume his words. He kneels, but the earth does not answer. His lips are cracked with thirst, his heart heavy with longing. Yet still he takes another step, though no one tells him where to go. He believes himself lost, but in truth he is being stripped of every illusion that once clouded his vision. For it is only when everything external fails that the inner fire begins to show its first light. The teaching hidden in this desert is ancient. The silence of the universe is not the absence of response, but its most profound form. The apparent void is the womb of transformation. In Jungian language, it is the confrontation with the shadow, when the psyche withdraws projection and forces you to face what lies within. In mystical language, it is the black night, when the seed lies buried, unseen, yet preparing its inevitable sprout. The alchemists knew this as the dissolution, when all structures collapse so that the true gold may be born. Failure, silence, emptiness, these are not signs of punishment, but initiations into a deeper power. Have you felt that your words reached no one? Have you ever asked why the heavens remain mute when your need feels most urgent? And what if this muteness is itself a teaching? What if the silence is the mirror that asks, from where do you speak? From fear or from essence? From desperation or from alignment? The universe cannot answer every word, for words without resonance are like arrows without weight. They fall before reaching their mark. But when your being vibrates with the depth of truth, then even a whisper moves mountains. The silence, therefore, is the sacred filter. It removes what is born only of lack, only of panic, only of illusion. It keeps unanswered what would not truly serve you, though your eyes could not yet see it. It seems cruel in the moment, but in time you understand. The silence saved you. The silence protected you from granting force to a desire that would have bound rather than freed. What felt like emptiness was, in truth, guidance beyond words. Now step into the ritual. Close your eyes. Place both hands gently over your heart. Let your shoulders fall. Let your breath slow. Inhale deeply, as though the silence itself is entering you. Hold it within for a moment. Exhale slowly, and as you release, imagine the weight of unanswered prayers dissolving from your chest. Whisper inwardly, "The silence is not my enemy. The silence is my initiation." Repeat it 3 times softly, as if each repetition imprints upon your soul. Feel that the silence, which once frightened you, is now embracing you, preparing you, refining you. Stay in this state for a few breaths, as though listening not for an external answer, but for the subtle vibration inside your own being. Imagine that the silence is a vast temple, and you are sitting at its center. Every unanswered prayer is not rejection, but a doorway not yet opened. Trust that beyond this stillness, the flame of destiny is being prepared. When you open your eyes, carry with you this truth. The moment when nothing responds is not the end of your path. It is the moment the true path begins. The desert is not a place of death, but of purification. And when you walk through it with faith, something awakens that no silence can ever suppress. From here, the seeker continues, not with desperation, but with a heart listening for resonance. The gates may still appear closed, but a hidden key is already forming within, and in time, you will see that what seemed like refusal was the first whisper of alignment. Chapter 2. The Temple of Closed Doors. Imagine a vast temple, ancient and immovable, with walls carved of stone that has withstood centuries of wind and fire. You walk toward its gates, heart trembling with hope, carrying your offerings of prayer, your tears, your persistence. You knock, but the doors do not move. You call, but no voice answers. You wait, but the silence deepens. The temple of destiny feels sealed against you, and the more you push, the more its stillness surrounds you. Many souls have reached this threshold and turned back, believing themselves unworthy of entrance. Yet the mystery is this: the temple was never closed. It was your eyes that could not yet see the entrance prepared for you. An archetypal figure stands here, the seeker at the gates. He believes that life has denied him. He sees the stone doors as symbols of resistance, interpreting their immobility as rejection. But if you could look deeper into the scene, you would see another truth. Behind those immovable doors lies a chamber of initiation, a space so sacred that only those who have been stripped of illusions may enter. The doors remain closed, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being called to transform. Every knock, every unanswered prayer, every silence is chiseling away at the false self that believes it must demand, beg, or force its way into divine order. The teaching hidden in the temple is profound. Resistance is not refusal, but refinement. When doors do not open, they invite you to question the vibration you carry. Are you knocking with desperation or with presence? Are you demanding out of fear or declaring from essence? Jung reminds us that symbols are living realities of the unconscious. A closed door is not merely a denial. It is the image of the threshold, the guardian archetype, the test before transformation. In alchemical language, it is the vessel sealed until the inner fire reaches the precise temperature. To force it open too soon would destroy the process. The universe, wise and unyielding, guards your destiny until you are ready to bear it. Have you ever wondered why in moments of greatest effort, life resists? And what if this resistance is the sacred guardian at the threshold? What if the doors close not to punish you, but to ask, have you found your true voice yet? Do you know the flame from which your wish must arise? The universe does not open to every knock, for many knocks are born from fear. But when your essence speaks, when your vibration aligns, the doors open without struggle, because they were waiting for that resonance all along. Enter now into the ritual. Sit in stillness, spine upright as if you yourself are the temple. Close your eyes and bring to mind the image of a great stone door before you. See its size, its weight, its silence. Place your hand upon your chest and breathe deeply 3 times. With each breath, whisper inwardly, I do not knock with fear. I do not beg with lack. I stand in alignment. Feel the vibration shift within you, as if your heart itself is the true key. Now in your imagination, place your hand upon the door. Do not push, do not force. Simply rest your hand and allow the resonance of your being to flow into it. In silence, wait. Feel that the door is listening. Remain here until you sense, even subtly, that the door responds not to effort, but to essence. Perhaps you see it glow faintly. Perhaps you hear the sound of stone shifting. Perhaps nothing moves at all. Yet inwardly, something has already changed. You have understood that closed doors are not denials, but invitations to deeper alignment. When you open your eyes, carry this truth. Every closed door you face is part of the sacred design. It teaches you to release the frantic energy of desperation and to awaken the still authority of presence. What once seemed sealed against you is not your enemy, but your guardian. And when the moment arrives, the door will not merely open. It will open as if it had always been waiting for you. Thus the seeker learns to trust the silence of the temple, to see in its resistance the wisdom of preparation. And in the heart of that stillness, he begins to feel the hidden pulse of what lies beyond the stone. Chapter 3. The Hidden Womb of the Void. There is a silence so deep it feels like extinction. It comes when everything you once relied upon collapses, when answers no longer arrive, when the ground beneath you gives way to nothingness. At first, this void terrifies you. It feels like death, like erasure, like being cast outside the order of life itself. Yet what appears as death is in truth the secret womb of becoming. In the dark stillness, something unseen is gestating. The void that frightens you is also the cradle of your renewal. Imagine an archetypal image, a seed buried in the earth. From above, the field looks barren, lifeless, mute. No sign of growth, no evidence of movement. Yet beneath the soil, the seed is dissolving, breaking open, releasing what it has guarded in silence. Its outer shell cracks under pressure, and what seemed like destruction is in fact the beginning of emergence. The seed must lose its form to fulfill its destiny. So too with you. The void that feels like an end is in truth the stage where your old forms are cracking, making way for the hidden life that presses to be born. The teaching is timeless. The void is never empty. It only appears barren to the eyes that crave immediate results. Psychologically, it is the withdrawal of projections, when the unconscious calls you back to yourself, stripping away false certainties so that your authentic self may emerge. Mystically, it is the silence of God, which is not absence but overwhelming presence too vast for words. Alchemically, it is the nigredo, the black stage, where all dissolves so that the true gold may be extracted. The void is not your enemy. It is the vessel in which the eternal shapes your next form. Ask yourself, when you last stood in silence, was it not also the time when you were forced to meet yourself without masks? Did the emptiness not compel you to see what truly remained when all distractions faded? And what if the very pain of emptiness was the first signal of transformation? What if the void is the chalice that holds the purest essence of your becoming? Enter into the ritual. Sit with eyes closed. Inhale slowly, and as you exhale, imagine yourself dissolving into a vast, starless night. Feel the emptiness surround you, but do not resist it. Whisper softly, "This void is not my death. This void is my womb." With every breath, let the words sink deeper, until the fear begins to soften. Picture yourself as a seed, safely buried, surrounded not by nothingness, but by fertile darkness. Imagine roots beginning to form beneath you, hidden from sight, but alive with quiet force. Remain here, breathing into the truth that absence is only the mask of gestation. When you open your eyes, carry with you this revelation. Every silence, every void, every space that feels barren is in truth the womb of your next becoming. The universe does not rush its creations. It lets the seed dissolve before the sprout breaks the earth. What feels like waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred preparation. And the day will come when the first fragile stem of new life pushes through the soil, and you will realize that the void was never empty. It was always full of the future. Thus the seeker learns that the silence of the void is not abandonment, but profound intimacy. What seemed lifeless was carrying you in secret, nurturing you for the moment of revelation. And from within this hidden womb, you begin to sense that something vast is already awakening. Chapter 4. The Forgotten Law of Alignment. There exists a law older than speech, older than any book, older than the stars themselves. It is the law of alignment, hidden not in words, but in vibration. The universe does not obey language alone. It listens to the resonance beneath your voice. When you speak from fear, your words are hollow arrows that fall before reaching their mark. When you speak from lack, your desire is already weakened, echoing only the emptiness that birthed it. But when you speak from alignment, when your soul and your essence breathe together as one, even the faintest whisper becomes a decree that the cosmos cannot resist. Picture the archetypal figure of the dreamer who shouts at the sky. His cries are urgent, his prayers are many, his desperation immense. Yet the heavens remain silent, not because they are deaf, but because they hear too clearly the discord beneath his voice. His words ask for abundance, but his vibration is still chained to scarcity. He speaks of love, but beneath the plea lies fear of abandonment. He demands freedom, but his heart still clings to chains of self-doubt. The universe listens not to the surface of his request, but to the hidden current beneath it. And so nothing moves. The teaching is simple, yet few dare to grasp it. Your life does not mirror your words, it mirrors your vibration. Jung spoke of the unconscious as the hidden force shaping our destiny, moving beneath awareness. So too the universe responds not to conscious declarations alone, but to the deeper resonance of your being. In alchemical language, fire obeys only what is of its nature. Gold emerges only when the entire vessel is prepared. To say, "I am free," while vibrating in chains, is to speak without alignment, and so nothing answers. To whisper, "I am free," while standing in the resonance of liberation, even if invisible to the outer eye, is to command reality itself. Reflect upon this. How many of your prayers were spoken from the fear that they would not be answered? How many desires rose from the soil of lack rather than from the flame of essence? And what if the silence you experienced was not abandonment, but protection? The universe refusing to grant power to words that did not yet carry alignment? What if, instead of rejection, the silence was an invitation to shift your vibration until words and being became one? Enter the ritual. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and place one hand upon your chest, the other upon your abdomen. Inhale deeply, and as you do, say inwardly, I receive. Exhale slowly, whispering, I align. Repeat this 3 times, letting each cycle settle into your body like a rhythm. Now, bring to mind a single desire. Do not speak it aloud yet. Instead, feel it. Ask yourself, does this desire rise from fear or from truth? From lack or from essence? If you sense fear, do not judge it. Simply breathe into it and release. If you sense alignment, allow the desire to settle deeper as if it roots itself in your heart. When ready, whisper it once, softly, as though the universe is already listening. Let the whisper carry not desperation, but resonance. When you return from this practice, remember this truth. The universe is not persuaded by volume, repetition, or urgency. It obeys only resonance. When your inner flame and your spoken word harmonize, the doors of destiny swing open without effort. The forgotten law of alignment is not about asking harder, but about becoming the wish itself. And when you are the wish, the universe cannot help but answer. Thus the seeker learns that silence was never indifference. It was the guardian teaching the law that few remember. What you are within speaks louder than what you say without. And in this remembering, a new clarity begins to dawn. Chapter 5. The Language of Resonance. There is a language older than words, a language the stars themselves obey. It is the language of resonance, the silent rhythm that unites thought, feeling, and essence into one vibration. While human speech may lie, resonance cannot. It reveals the true note of your being, whether discordant or aligned. And the universe, vast and impartial, responds only to this language. It listens not to the sounds on your lips, but to the music carried in your energy. Picture the archetype of the singer who stands before an audience. She tries to perform a song she does not feel, forcing her voice to match words that are hollow. Though her melody is technically correct, the listeners are unmoved because her vibration betrays the absence of truth. Yet, when she sings a single line born of genuine feeling, even if her voice trembles, the entire room shifts. The audience weeps, breathes, and opens, not because the words are different, but because the resonance is true. So it is with your desires. When you speak without resonance, the universe remains still. When you vibrate with alignment, even silence becomes a command. The teaching unfolds here. Resonance is the bridge between inner being and outer manifestation. Jung spoke of archetypes as living patterns shaping the psyche. Each archetype carries its resonance, a field of energy that influences your destiny. When you are unconsciously trapped in the archetype of the beggar, your vibration asks for scraps, even as your lips demand abundance. When you awaken the archetype of the sovereign, your vibration declares authority even before your lips form words. The universe responds not to the language of need, but to the resonance of identity. Alchemy calls this the marriage of opposites, when inner and outer unite in harmony. Mysticism calls it the Word made flesh. Ask yourself, have you ever spoken affirmations that never came to life? Did you repeat words of power yet feel secretly unconvinced? This is because words alone cannot mask resonance. The subconscious speaks louder than the conscious, and the body reveals the truth of your vibration. And yet, when you find resonance, even the simplest phrase, a whisper of I am, becomes a creative force. Enter the ritual. Close your eyes and sit in stillness. Place one hand over your chest, the other over your throat. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, hum softly, not to produce music, but to feel vibration. Let the hum resonate in your body, moving from chest to throat, vibrating in your bones. Continue for a few breaths, then stop. Notice the silence after the hum, how it feels charged, alive. Now choose one phrase, perhaps "I am free" or "I am whole." Whisper it once, but instead of forcing conviction, allow the vibration of the phrase to root itself in your body. Feel it echo, not as a thought, but as a resonance spreading outward. Remain in this state for a few breaths, sensing how the phrase carries weight when it arises from true resonance. Understand that this is the language the universe obeys, not the endless repetition of hollow words, but the steady vibration of aligned being. When you open your eyes, carry this clarity. The universe is fluent in only one language, and that language is resonance. Words are vessels, but vibration is the essence. When you learn to speak this way, every desire becomes a decree, every whisper a command, every silence a hymn that reality cannot ignore. Thus, the seeker begins to discover that the path forward is not about speaking louder, but about vibrating truer. And in this discovery, the doors that once remained closed begin to tremble with possibility. Chapter 6. The Mirror of Failure. Failure comes like a shadow, uninvited and unrelenting. It stands before you like a mirror, reflecting back not what you hoped to see, but what you most feared. You try and the result collapses. You build, and the structure falls. You pray, and silence answers. At first, failure feels like the hand of fate pressing against you, as though destiny itself has turned its face away. But what if failure is not punishment, but reflection? What if each collapse is a sacred mirror showing you what no longer carries life, what no longer vibrates with your true destiny? See the archetype of the craftsman. He works endlessly at the same vessel, pouring his strength, his time, his hope into it. Yet the clay cracks again and again, no matter how carefully he shapes it. At last, in despair, he looks into the broken pieces scattered on the floor, and there he sees his own reflection. He realizes that the clay was not breaking because of its weakness, but because he was shaping it with an energy that no longer belonged to him. The vessel had to shatter, so that he would discover the deeper form his soul was calling him to create. The teaching reveals itself. Failure is not the absence of possibility, but the sign of misalignment. Jung described synchronicity as the language of the unconscious manifesting in the outer world. When failure repeats, it is synchronicity in disguise, showing you what your energy has outgrown. Alchemy, too, speaks of this stage, the breaking down of false metals so that the true gold may emerge. The fire burns away what cannot withstand transformation, leaving only what is essential. Thus, what you call failure is not a curse, it is a purification. Have you ever considered that the doors which remain closed, the relationships that dissolve, the projects that collapse, may not be against you, but for you? That each apparent loss is removing from your path what no longer resonates with your becoming? What if failure is the most honest mirror, reflecting where your energy is no longer aligned, where your soul refuses to be confined? What if its silence is not rejection, but a final test of readiness? Step into the ritual. Close your eyes and imagine a mirror standing before you. See yourself approach it. In the reflection, do not look for your outer image. Look for the fragments of what has failed in your life. See the broken pieces, the unanswered prayers, the doors that never opened. Do not turn away. Instead, whisper inwardly, "Show me not my defeat, but my misalignment." As you breathe deeply, watch as the mirror shifts. The fragments begin to rearrange themselves, revealing a new form. Not what you lost, but what your essence is guiding you toward. Allow this image to settle into your heart as a seed of clarity. Remain with this vision for a few breaths, feeling the weight of failure transform into the lightness of revelation. Understand that nothing truly dies in vain. What is broken falls away so that the unbreakable may emerge. When you open your eyes, carry this truth. Failure is a mirror, not a verdict. It reveals the places where your old self can no longer survive, and in that revelation, you are guided toward the alignment where your true destiny waits. Thus the seeker discovers that the cracks in the vessel are not the end of the story, but the beginning of a deeper creation. And in the silence of the shattered pieces, the hidden gold begins to glimmer. Chapter 7. The Test of Readiness. Every destiny has its guardians, every promise its threshold, every wish its proving ground. When you believe you are ready to receive, life places before you not immediate fulfillment, but the test of readiness. This test is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal whether your inner flame can withstand the winds of delay, doubt, and resistance. It is the final shaping of your soul before the door opens. Many turn back here, mistaking the test for rejection. But the ones who continue, who endure without abandoning themselves, discover that the test was never punishment. It was the final confirmation of their worthiness. Imagine the archetype of the pilgrim who approaches a sacred mountain. At the base, he believes he is prepared, carrying his offerings, his prayers, his determination. Yet as he climbs, storms meet him. The path grows steep, the air thinner, the silence heavier. He wonders why the gods would allow such obstacles if he was truly meant to reach the summit. What he does not yet see is that each challenge is shaping him into the one capable of standing before the altar at the peak. Without the storms, he would remain fragile. Without the climb, he would not gain the strength to carry the weight of revelation. The mountain itself is the test, and by climbing it, he becomes ready. The teaching is clear. What you call delay is often preparation. Jung spoke of individuation as the process of becoming whole, and every test is part of this wholeness. The psyche resists shortcuts, just as the universe resists granting power to a vessel not yet tempered. Alchemy teaches that fire must test the metal until it shines, lest it shatter under pressure. Likewise, your soul undergoes trials, not because destiny doubts you, but because destiny loves you too much to hand you a crown you cannot yet bear. Every test is the sculptor's chisel, cutting away what is false, refining what is true. Ask yourself, how many times have you believed that resistance was a sign you should stop? And what if it was not a wall, but a mirror, asking, are you truly ready to embody what you seek? Do you desire abundance while still vibrating in scarcity? Do you wish for love while fearing your own worth? Do you seek freedom while clinging to chains of comfort? The test reveals these contradictions, not to condemn you, but to align you. Step now into the ritual. Close your eyes and picture yourself standing before a great mountain. At your feet lies the path you must climb. See the fog, the rocks, the storm clouds above. Breathe deeply and whisper inwardly, I am ready to be tested, for the test is proof of my becoming. Begin to imagine yourself walking step by step. Feel the resistance in your body, the weight of your doubts, the pull of your fears, yet continue upward. Even in imagination, each breath carries you higher. Each whisper of I endure strengthens your steps. Remain here until you feel the shift, not that the mountain has disappeared, but that something within you has awakened to meet it. Understand that the test does not mean you are denied. It means you are chosen. For the universe tests only those it has already destined for more. When you open your eyes, carry this knowledge. The trials that appear before your wish are not barriers, but confirmations. They ask not, do you deserve this, but rather, are you ready to live this fully? And as you answer with your persistence, the path itself becomes the proof of your readiness. Thus, the seeker learns to embrace the test as sacred, to see in resistance not the hand of rejection, but the whisper of destiny saying, continue, for what you seek is already yours. And with this knowing, the flame of endurance burns brighter within. Chapter 8. The Flame That Listens. Within you there burns a flame that no storm can extinguish. It is not the fire of impulse, nor the restless blaze of fleeting desire. It is the silent flame, eternal and unshaken, the flame that listens. While your lips speak and your mind shouts, this flame waits patiently in the center of your being. It does not respond to noise, but to essence. It is the altar within you, the point where soul and cosmos meet. And when you learn to speak to this flame, the universe itself bends to listen. Imagine the archetype of the hermit who withdraws from the world into the silence of a cave. He brings no wealth, no weapons, no companions, only the quiet of his own breath and the trembling of his heart. In the dark, he discovers a small fire, flickering gently, unthreatened by the winds outside. At first he ignores it, seeking answers in the thunder and echoes around him. But over time, he learns that the true oracle is not outside, but in the flame itself. When he whispers into it, the flame does not flare in spectacle, yet something shifts in the atmosphere. The cave itself listens. The world itself begins to echo back. The teaching unfolds here. Within every soul lies the listening flame. Jung would call it the self, the archetype of wholeness, the center that integrates shadow and light. Mystics would call it the divine spark, the indwelling presence that bridges humanity and eternity. Alchemists would call it the philosopher's fire, the hidden flame that refines base matter into gold. Whatever name is given, the truth is one. This flame is your point of resonance with the universe. To ignore it is to speak into emptiness. To awaken, it is to speak into infinity. Ask yourself, how often have you prayed outward, pleading with the sky when the true temple waited within? How often have you sought signs in the world when the most luminous sign glowed silently in your chest? What if the voice you long for is not absent, but waiting to be awakened in the flame that listens? Enter the ritual. Sit with eyes closed. Place your right hand gently upon your heart and breathe slowly. Imagine a small flame within your chest, golden and calm, neither consuming nor wavering. With each breath, see it grow steadier, brighter, more alive. Now, without words of desperation, whisper inwardly to this flame. Offer not a list of requests, but a single truth. It may be as simple as, I am ready, or I am aligned, or I am whole. As you whisper, imagine the flame responding, not with words, but with resonance, a subtle vibration that spreads through your entire body. Stay in this state until you feel the silence shift. Perhaps nothing visible changes, yet inwardly you sense a presence, a listening, a communion. Understand that the flame has heard you, and in its hearing, the universe itself has listened. When you open your eyes, carry this revelation. The flame that listens is the true altar of your soul. Every desire, every decree, every whisper of destiny must pass through this fire to gain the weight of resonance. What once felt like silence from the world was only the waiting of the flame, asking you to turn inward. And when you speak here, with essence and truth, the cosmos itself answers. Thus the seeker learns that the true power is not in shouting outward, but in whispering inward. For the flame that listens is also the flame that commands, and through it, every wish becomes law. Chapter 9. The Ritual of the Invisible Flame. There comes a moment when silence transforms into a threshold, when the waiting is no longer a burden, but a summons. In that moment, the seeker discovers the secret practice, the ritual of the invisible flame. This ritual is not about performance, nor about ornate words or grand gestures. It is about returning to the essence, where desire sheds its disguises and reveals its core. Only then does the universe respond, for the invisible flame is the bridge between your heart and the eternal. Picture the archetype of the guardian priestess in an ancient temple. She tends to a flame hidden deep within the inner sanctum, a fire unseen by the crowds who gather outside. Many bring offerings, incense, chants, hoping to persuade the gods, but the priestess knows that the gods respond only to the fire itself, not to the noise. In silence, she kneels, places her hand upon her chest, and whispers into the flame. And though her words are few, the temple trembles with response, for she has spoken in resonance. The teaching here is clear. The most powerful prayer is not the loudest, but the simplest, the one spoken into the flame of essence. Jung would call this the archetypal act of returning to the self, bypassing the persona and the noise of ego. Mystics would call it the secret prayer of the heart, where one word born of authenticity outweighs 1,000 spoken in fear. Alchemists would see in it the fire that refines all, listening to only what is true. The ritual of the invisible flame is not about multiplying wishes, but distilling them until only the essence remains. Ask yourself, if everything were stripped away, if you could no longer ask for 10 things, or 5, or even 2, what single desire would remain? What wish burns even when all illusions collapse? This is the desire you must place in the flame. The rest is noise, scattered seeds without soil. But the essence, the one truth that remains, is the seed destined to grow. Enter the ritual now. Close your eyes and place one hand over your heart. Inhale slowly, as though drawing in the stars themselves, and exhale with gentle surrender. Imagine within your chest a small flame, steady and golden. Whisper into it, not a list, not a plea, but the one wish that remains after all else has fallen away. Speak it once, softly. I decree from my flame, and the universe answers in resonance. Repeat inwardly 3 times, not with strain, but with certainty, as though sealing a covenant. Stay in silence for a few breaths. Do not look for immediate signs. Trust that in the invisible, your decree has already begun to weave itself into the tapestry of reality. The flame has heard, and in hearing, the universe has obeyed. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness. The invisible flame is the axis of your being, the hidden temple where every wish becomes law. What once felt scattered now feels whole. What once felt unanswered now feels inevitable. For the universe does not obey every voice, but it always obeys the voice that speaks from the flame. Thus, the seeker discovers that power lies not in endless striving, but in distilled essence. And in the whisper of the ritual, a new certainty dawns, the certainty that destiny has already begun to move. Chapter 10. The Key That Opens the Universe. There is a key you have carried all along, though its shape was hidden from your sight. You searched for it outside yourself, in signs, in teachers, in prayers repeated until your voice grew weary. But the true key was never elsewhere. It was the flame within, refined by silence, polished by failure, tested by endurance. And when you discover this key, you realize that the universe has never resisted you. It was waiting for you to remember the language that opens every gate. See the archetype of the wanderer who, after years of searching, returns to the place he first began. He has walked deserts, climbed mountains, begged at temples, fought through storms. His body is weary, his heart humbled. Yet when he kneels at the threshold of his own home and places his hand upon his chest, he feels it. The key was always there, burning quietly as a flame. With a single whisper from that flame, the doors he once strained to open swing wide, not by force, but by recognition. The universe obeys, not because it was conquered, but because it was aligned. The teaching emerges with clarity. The key that opens the universe is resonance born from essence. Words without vibration are hollow. Desires without alignment are weak. But when essence speaks, distilled, unwavering, whole, the cosmos itself bends to listen. Jung spoke of individuation as the integration of the self, the alignment of conscious and unconscious into wholeness. In that wholeness lies the key. Alchemy describes it as the philosopher's stone, the union of opposites, the power to turn base matter into gold. Mystics call it the word of fire, the inner decree that cannot be denied. By any name, the truth is the same. The key is not something you acquire, but something you awaken. Ask yourself, how many times have you sought power outside, believing another's voice could open what yours could not? And what if every teacher, every silence, every failure was pointing you back to the same truth, that the key is in your chest, in the flame that listens, waiting for you to speak with essence? Step into the ritual, close your eyes, and place both hands over your heart, as though guarding the key that lies within. Inhale deeply, imagining a golden sphere of light forming between your palms and chest. With each breath, see the light grow brighter, heavier, more solid, until it feels like a key of fire resting in your hands. Whisper inwardly, I carry the key. I speak from my flame. The universe responds to me. Repeat 3 times with slow and steady breath. When you feel the resonance settle, imagine before you a great gate of destiny. Do not push, do not beg. Simply extend the key of fire toward it. See the gate open, not by struggle, but by recognition. Remain in the vision for a few moments, sensing the truth of what has always been within you. When you open your eyes, know this: the universe has never been locked against you. It has only awaited the moment you discovered the true key, and now that you hold it, no gate can remain closed. Thus the seeker understands that the key was never in the hands of another, never lost in the silence, never withheld by fate. It was always within the flame, awaiting the moment of alignment. And in this revelation, the doors of the cosmos open, one by one, in quiet obedience. Chapter 11. The Covenant of Silence. There is a silence that wounds, and there is a silence that consecrates. Once you have touched the flame and held the key, you begin to see that silence is no longer absence, but covenant. The universe enters into agreements not with noise, but with stillness. It does not shout its promises back to you. It seals them in silence, waiting for you to walk in trust. Every true manifestation carries within it a sacred pause, the moment between decree and fulfillment, when nothing appears to move, though everything is already rearranging in the unseen. Picture the archetype of the scribe who receives a sacred scroll. The words are written in golden fire, but as soon as he looks closer, the letters fade into blankness. To the untrained eye, it appears as though the scroll is empty, as though no covenant was ever written. Yet the scribe knows that the words remain, inscribed in invisible ink, revealed only by the fire of time. The silence of the scroll is not erasure, but secrecy, for what is sacred must mature in hiddenness before it is revealed. The teaching unfolds here. Silence is the covenantal seal of the universe. Jung spoke of the unconscious as that which operates beneath awareness, shaping the outer world without immediate recognition. In the same way, silence holds the seeds of manifestation before they break the soil of reality. Alchemy describes this as the sealed vessel, the phase when transformation occurs unseen, protected from intrusion. Mystics call it the vow of hiddenness, where the divine guards its mysteries until the soul is ready to see. Thus, when silence follows your decree, do not despair. It is the universe saying, "The covenant is signed. Now walk as though it were already so." Ask yourself, how often have you doubted the silence, mistaking it for void, when in truth it was the guarantee of fulfillment? How often have you abandoned your wish in the very moment it was gestating because you could not see movement? What if silence is the universe's way of ensuring that what you receive is not born from impulse, but from essence, solid and unshakable? Step now into the ritual. Sit in stillness and close your eyes. Place your palms gently upward on your lap, as if receiving an unseen scroll. Breathe deeply and imagine that a covenant has been placed in your hands, luminous yet unreadable. Whisper softly, "The silence is my proof. The silence is my seal." Repeat 3 times, with each repetition sinking deeper into your being. Sit with the sensation of holding something invisible yet undeniable. Trust that the absence of visible signs is not emptiness, but protection, ensuring that what you call forth ripens in secrecy before it blooms. Remain in this state until you feel peace, even if outwardly nothing has shifted. Let the silence wrap around you, not as punishment, but as assurance. When you open your eyes, carry this truth. Silence is not a void, but a covenant. It is the invisible ink upon the scroll of your destiny, waiting for the fire of time to make it known. Thus the seeker learns to walk with calmness in the absence of signs, to see in silence not abandonment, but fulfillment already underway. And as this covenant of silence is honored, the soul learns the rarest lesson of all, that trust itself is the proof of alignment. Chapter 12. The River That Answers. After silence there comes a subtle stirring, the first movements of response. It does not arrive with thunder or spectacle, but like a hidden river, flowing quietly beneath the soil of your life. At first you sense it only faintly, through synchronicities too delicate to ignore. a word overheard at the right moment, a meeting that feels charged with destiny, a dream that speaks with uncommon clarity. These are the ripples of the river announcing that your decree has entered the current of reality. Imagine the archetype of the wanderer who, after enduring long drought, suddenly hears the sound of water underground. He kneels to the earth, places his ear against the soil, and though no stream is visible, he hears its song. He digs, and in time the water rises, clear and unstoppable. The river was always there, flowing beneath the surface, carrying life unseen. So it is with your manifestations. Long before you see the full flow, the river is already answering beneath the ground of your existence. The teaching is luminous. Every decree creates a current. Jung described synchronicity as the meaningful coincidence that reveals the hidden order of reality. Each sign, each alignment, each echo in your path is the whisper of the river, telling you that your essence has reached the waters of the collective field. Alchemy teaches that the first sign of transformation is not the final gold, but the subtle changes in the vessel, the heat rising, the matter shifting. Mystics affirm that grace flows first in hidden streams before bursting into visible fountains. To those who are attuned, the river answers long before the eye can see it. Ask yourself, how many signs have you dismissed as chance, when in truth they were the river's response? How many times have you demanded a flood while ignoring the quiet trickle that proved your decree was already alive? And what if the true mastery is not in demanding louder, but in listening closer, attuning to the subtle currents that already surround you? Step now into the ritual. Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Imagine yourself standing beside a vast river, but instead of water, its current is made of light. Place your hands over your chest and whisper inwardly, "The river already flows. The answer is already here." As you breathe, imagine the current of light brushing against your feet, rising to your knees, surrounding you in its flow. Allow yourself to feel that you're not waiting for the river to arrive. You are already standing within it. Every sign, every alignment, every movement of energy around you is a ripple of this river carrying your decree. Remain here, breathing into the sensation of flow, until your heart feels lighter, no longer bound by impatience, but carried by trust. When you open your eyes, remember this truth. The river does not delay. It moves in silence before it reveals its strength. Your task is not to force the waters, but to listen to their hidden song. Thus the seeker learns that destiny does not arrive suddenly from nowhere, but flows quietly beneath the soil long before it breaks into sight. And when you walk with ears attuned to its whispers, you realize the river has been answering all along. Chapter 13. The Throne of the I Am. There is a moment in every seeker's path when the river of signs, the silence of covenant, the fire of alignment all lead to a single revelation, the throne of the I Am. Here the journey ceases to be about seeking outside, about pleading to the heavens, about begging for destiny to notice you. Here you realize that the true throne was never distant, never hidden in temples beyond reach. It has always been within you, waiting for you to sit in your rightful place. Picture the archetype of the sovereign who once lived as a beggar. For years he wandered, knocking at doors, asking for crumbs of grace, searching for crowns in other hands. Only when his journey left him stripped of every illusion did he return to his own chamber. There in the dim light, he found a throne covered in dust, abandoned by his own forgetting. With trembling hands he brushed it clean and sat. In that moment the air shifted. He did not need to shout. He did not need to beg. From the silence of the throne his very being became decree. The world outside bowed, not because he demanded it, but because he remembered who he was. The teaching is profound. The power of manifestation is not in asking the universe to obey, but in remembering that you and the universe are not separate. Jung spoke of individuation as the union of conscious and unconscious, the discovery of the self as both personal and transpersonal. Mystics call this the I Am, the eternal identity that is both within and beyond. Alchemy names it the Red King, the sovereign who emerges after every trial. Whatever name is given, the revelation is the same. You are not merely one who wishes, you are the throne from which the wish itself arises. Ask yourself, how many times have you begged the universe for what was already yours? How many times have you forgotten that the very breath within you carries the same creative essence that moves stars across the heavens? What if your trials were never about teaching you to ask harder, but about guiding you to remember your throne? Enter the ritual. Close your eyes and imagine before you a vast hall of light. At its center stands a throne, radiant yet familiar, as though it has always belonged to you. Walk toward it slowly. With each step, whisper inwardly, I am. Let the words expand. I am presence. I am flame. I am decree. Sit upon the throne in your vision. Feel its strength rise through your spine, its authority filling your chest. Place your hands upon the armrests and breathe as though the hall itself breathes with you. Whisper once more, not in desperation, but in sovereignty. I am. Let the words echo into silence, not asking, not pleading, but affirming. Remain in this vision until you sense the shift, that you are no longer outside your power, but seated within it. When you open your eyes, carry this knowing. The throne of the I Am is not imagination, it is identity. To live from it is to remember that your essence is the law to which the universe responds. Thus the seeker becomes sovereign, not because the world has given him power, but because he has remembered the throne that was his from the beginning, and from this seat, every word spoken from essence is no longer a request, but a decree, shaping the weave of destiny. Chapter 14. The Language of Fire. There is a speech that does not belong to the tongue, but to the flame. It is the language of fire, the primordial utterance through which the universe was shaped and continues to be shaped. When you speak from the throne of the I Am, you no longer cast words into empty air. You release fire, essence, vibration, decree, and fire does not negotiate. Fire transforms. Fire obeys its own law, and the universe obeys the fire. Picture the archetype of the prophet standing before a multitude. He does not persuade, he does not argue, he does not raise his voice to be heard. Instead, a single phrase passes his lips, born of the fire within, and the people tremble, the ground shakes, the atmosphere shifts, not because of volume, but because the words are aflame with truth. His speech is not mere sound, it is resonance carried on fire, igniting every heart it touches. The prophet is not special because of who he is, but because he has remembered to let the flame speak. The teaching is luminous. Every word carries either ash or fire. Ash are the words of fear, scattered and powerless, dissolving before they reach their destination. Fire are the words of alignment, glowing with essence, shaping reality even as they are spoken. Jung observed that symbols carry numinous energy, more powerful than rational ideas. Words born of fire are symbols, alive, numinous, burning with archetypal force. Alchemy described this fire as the secret element, hidden within all things, transforming lead into gold. Mystics call it the word of creation, the eternal vibration that sustains the cosmos. Ask yourself, how often have you spoken words that burned no brighter than ash? How often have you repeated decrees without fire, wondering why the world did not shift? And what if the silence of the universe was only waiting for you to ignite your language with flame, to speak not from fear or ritual, but from the I Am, the eternal center of your being? Enter the ritual. Close your eyes and place one hand upon your throat, the other upon your chest. Breathe slowly, imagining that each inhale draws fire upward from your heart, and each exhale releases it through your voice. Whisper a single phrase, perhaps I am light, or I am free, or simply I am. As you whisper, imagine flames flowing with the words, filling the space around you. Repeat 3 times, each time slower, each time heavier with presence. Do not force volume. Allow the fire itself to carry the weight. Remain here until you feel that your words no longer hover like sound, but vibrate like flame. When you open your eyes, know this: you have spoken in the language of fire, and the universe has no choice but to respond. Thus the seeker discovers that words alone do not move reality. Only words ignited by fire do. And from this revelation, he learns to speak sparingly, but with essence, knowing that each decree is no longer sound but flame, shaping the weave of destiny. Chapter 15. The Eternal Obedience of the Universe. The journey arrives here, not at an ending, but at a revelation that has no end. You began in silence, facing unanswered prayers and doors that would not open. You walked through deserts, faced the mirror of failure, endured the test of readiness. You discovered the flame that listens, learned the law of alignment, found the key within. At last you sat upon the throne of the I Am, and the language of fire became your own. Now, the final truth is revealed. The universe has always obeyed you, not your fear, not your scattered words, not your desperation, but your essence. Picture the archetype of the sovereign creator. He does not command the stars, yet they move in harmony with his decree. He does not beg the earth, yet it yields fruit at his gesture. His power is not domination, but resonance. The cosmos obeys him because he speaks with the voice of the flame, because he embodies the law rather than demanding it. In truth, he and the universe are not two. He is the voice, and the universe is the echo. He is the flame, and the universe is the fire. The teaching shines without shadow. The universe is a mirror of your deepest vibration. It has never been deaf. It has never been distant. It answers with precision, not to words alone, but to essence. Jung taught that wholeness is not achieved by rejecting the shadow, but by integrating it. So, too, the universe obeys not when you split yourself, but when you align in wholeness. Alchemy declared that the gold is not made by force, but by patient transformation. Mystics proclaim that the I Am is the eternal key, and all creation bends to its flame. Thus, the obedience of the universe is not a gift bestowed upon the few. It is a law written into the fabric of existence, waiting for you to remember. Ask yourself, how different would your life feel if you knew, truly knew, that the universe was already listening, already answering, already obeying the vibration you carry? Would you not guard your resonance more carefully? Would you not choose your words with reverence, knowing that each one is a decree? Would you not walk with quiet authority, knowing that every step shapes the weave of destiny? Enter the final ritual. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine yourself standing beneath a vast sky, stars burning like watchful eyes. Place your hand upon your heart and whisper, I am flame, I am decree, I am alignment. As you speak, feel the stars themselves shift, as though responding to your voice. Whisper again, the universe answers me in resonance. Repeat 3 times, each time slower, each time deeper, until the words no longer feel like whispers, but like eternal truths, vibrating through every fiber of your being. Remain here until you sense the great stillness around you alive with listening, as if the cosmos itself leans closer. Know that you are not separate from it. The flame within you is the same fire that lights the stars. The decree upon your lips is the same word that sustains galaxies. You and the universe are not two, but one dance, one echo, one eternal obedience. When you open your eyes, walk with the certainty that nothing has been wasted. The silence was initiation, the void was womb, the failure was mirror, the test was proof, the flame was key, the throne was your true identity. And now, with every breath, every thought, every word, you live as one who knows, when all else fails, the universe has never failed you. It has only been waiting for you to remember who you are. Thus the seeker becomes sovereign, the pilgrim becomes flame, the wanderer becomes throne. And from this awakening, every wish spoken from essence becomes destiny itself. For the universe does not hesitate, it does not doubt, it does not resist. The universe always obeys the true voice of the I Am.